Hello there, folks, and welcome to a Grey, Grey and Beyond Grey song as well. Then I thought it was a good idea to do another video and another video for a section that has been gone for a while now, that I felt like, why not bring it back again? I'm talking about another one of my collection of, where I show my complete collection of certain artist or genre or format I also been showing in the past, and this time an artist that I have so much with that I felt like it would be a good idea to do my collection over this artist. It is an artist that people at streams asking me about. My friend Rob Panique's brother Rob is talking about whenever I show it in my vinyl CD updates. It is an artist that I now also get questions about in my private life. So I felt like, okay, why not do a vinyl my collection of with this artist. And I'm talking about Duke Ellington, an artist that if this would have been around maybe 25-30 years ago, this video will definitely not be existing. Let me explain why, for those of you who haven't heard this story yet. It started back in 1988, I think, when I got this cassette, the first Ellington album I got, Duke Ellington Greatest Hits, released on I Love Jazz, as on CBS, a low-budget series from CBS. And I listened to this numerous times back then, so it has a nostalgia feelings around it. But around 89, 90, I got very tired of big bands. I felt like it was the same thing all over. Glenn Miller, In the Mood, Chattanooga Choo Choo, and it was the same one over and over. And Duke Ellington, there were Take the A Train, there were Sea Jam Blues, there were Satin Doll. And I got so tired of hearing the same thing that I let the entire genre get the blame for it. I know, pretty stupid. I took back big bands. I listen to big bands a whole lot these days. Maybe not Glenn Miller that much, even though he has some good stuff also. But it took me a while to get interested in Duke Ellington again. And I realized that he was actually so much more than just these overplayed songs that were on this cassette. He had a lot of interesting small group sections. He had a lot of suites that I definitely love. And he was so much more. He was so variated in his style. So I felt like he is a lot better than I have given credit for the past past 30 years. So now I try to buy Duke Ellington that is not containing those ordinary songs as often as I can, and I don't have it since before. And I managed to find a whole lot. But it's same here as with Benny Goodman. It's not just because I love this artist. It is because that he's easy to find, and he is one of the most varied jazz musicians there is. I think there's only bebop that he hasn't been trying on. So that is why I have so much Duke Ellington, and I'm going to show them in hopefully some varied styles, and I'm going to try to make this video not too long. So let's get started with Duke Ellington CDs. And when it comes to Ellington CDs, it's pretty easy to find. I have not. It is of course vinyl that I have the most Ellington by, but here we have a big portion of Ellington CDs. Pretty big, okay big. This is Duke Ellington on CBS Jazz Masterpieces, Uptown, which also contains a suite, the controversial suite. And, well, I guess you can't escape them all the time. It contains Take the A Train, but in a vocal version. I haven't heard in a vocal version that much, so I felt like, okay, let's go then. We have here the Duke's Mood on Rockin' Chair. From what I understand, this is a real album also. We have a really great box set containing the early Ellington from 27 to 35 in 3 albums released on Naxos Legends. Really interesting and great. You see how to put CDs back in the box. We have one of my favorite suites actually. This is Duke Ellington's Far East Suite. There is very interesting Isfahan, that I consider one of the best jazz songs in the 60s. That one is so great. So this is extremely recommended. Far East Suite. We have Ellington at Newport. I have a shorter version of that will be called away, because this is the complete on 2 CD sets released on Columbia. The complete concert from Newport, 1956. Here we have something that is very interesting. This is I bought this actually during my off period of Ellington, because I felt like this was so unusual. I felt like I gotta have it, and I realized that this was among the best Ellington I heard in a long time. It still is to this date when I now listen to Ellington, because it's very interesting. Duke Ellington solos, duets, and trios, including all versions of legendary Ellington Blanton duets. And Blanton is Jimmy Blanton, that died very young, and that Duke Ellington got very heartbroken about when he died. This contains Ellington Strayhorn duets, trios, the solos, he plays solo here, the Ellington Blanton duets, as I said, and piano concert. Released on RCA's Bluebird label. And we have this one, Ellington Recollections of the Big Band Era. And here he plays various big band tracks that aren't his own. We have certain classics here. Smoke Rings, the Castellano Orchestra, Woodchopper's Ball, Woody Herman, 1 O'Clock Jump, Basie, and so on and so on. Christopher Columbus, Fletcher Henderson. This is a series that I hope to be having full collection of one day. The Ellington Private Collection. So this is I don't know how many there is. This is one of them is volume 10. I don't know if that is the end of it, but this is volume 5, the Suites, New York 68 to 70, which contains Degas Suite. And this is Volume 10 Studio Sessions, New York and Chicago, 65, 66, and 71. Both released on VEA. Now go to vinyl singles, 45. And then I start with this one that I will be returning to also when it comes to full-length vinyl. Back-to-back Ellington and Johnny Hodges Plays the Blues. Basin Street Blues and Weary Blues. We have an ordinary series on 45, Jazz Gallery, Duke Ellington, Jones, Perdido, Avalon, and Spaceman. Sophisticated Lady and Skin Deep on his master's voice with orchestra. We have already mentioned the Duke at Newport, but with a 45. Take the A Train. Sophisticated Lady, I Got It Bad, It Ain't Good, and Jeep's Blues. I can't escape all the classics. We have the Duke and his orchestra in a mellow tone. And songs here are the main theme, Just Setting and Rockin', Take the A Train, and A Portrait of Burt Williams. I want it to sound like I don't have that much Take the A Train. I'm coming 3 in a row, almost. We have a very interesting series, Missing Part 1. I hope to find one day, but on the other hand, I have the albums. I will be coming back to this one also. Ellington 55. These tracks, Stomping at the Savoy and In the Mood. Another track that is so overplayed, but I didn't have it with Duke Ellington, so I felt definitely why not. Ellington Fighter. This was part 2. This is part 3. Ellington 55. 1 O'Clock Jump and Honeysuckle Rose. So Ellington 45. Now coming to full length, and we have a lot. Let me take them piece by piece, starting with the beginning, the early Ellington recordings. And this is Ellington 20s. We have the Duke in Harlem, 1926 and to 1930. On Aces of Hearts. Ace of Hearts, sorry. The Complete Ellington, Volume 1, 25 to 28. Now, those of you who have been following this knows that I have another one that is a little newer. I could have picked them together, but that one is from the 30s, and I wanted to have one special for this section, the early one, so I separated them. But it will come later on. We have the early Duke Ellington. This one I bought during my off years of Ellington, because I felt like the 20s, I always considered Duke Ellington in the 20s being the best, maybe, period of his career. The early Ellington, Everest Records, Archive of Folk and Jazz Music. 20s recordings. Here we have another one, Duke Ellington and his orchestra, this is a little on the line, but 1928 to 1933. And we have Duke Ellington at the Cotton Club. Very, very interesting. Duke Ellington were the king at Cotton Club. before Claude Hopkins took over. And we have the beginning, Duke Ellington, the beginning, Volume 1, 26 to 28 on MCA Records. And finally we have Duke Ellington and his orchestra, 1927 to 30, released on JorgenS label. I always thought when I bought this, that this was one of the few recordings that was with him in the smaller section, with the smaller bands. I come to realize that that was definitely not the case, even though of course his big band are the most common and ordinary thing to find. Then that he actually released a big deal of albums with smaller bands also. Many of them, of course, are from the later days, but there are, and there are. I have found a pretty good stack of them. So I've been putting together smaller band section as a part of their own here in this video. So, and I will include, of course, when he plays solo and with the trio here also. And this is a very interesting one, the Duke Ellington small bands. And it is released on Fantasy. And it is recordings from 67 and 30. Combo suite is here. Very nice thing. We have this, the Ellington Unknown Sections, released on Columbia. I'm also going to say that when it comes to smaller bands, he also has been in smaller bands where he, for various contractual reasons and so, is not with his name in the front as a band leader, where he had put one of the other band members as the band leader, even though unofficially he is the band leader. And I've chosen not to bring those, like Bonnie Bigard's band and Johnny Hodges bands, where he is still playing the piano and he is the leader, but the record label said that we don't want you to be the leader, and he has put someone else in the front to go around with this. I've chosen not to bring those. I've chosen to focus on the albums that I have with Duke Ellington as the leader. Here we have Duke Ellington and Piano Reflections with recordings from 1953. Where he plays trio, he plays solo also. Released on EMI and Capitol. And we have Ellington and Johnny Hodges on Verve. He has a very, very loyal band members that are with him every time. You see the same names. Lawrence Brown, Johnny Hodges, Bill Strayhorn, and so on. And here also Roy Eldridge and Ben Webster. Side by side. And, of course, already mentioned, Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges played the blues back to back. We have also on Giants of Jazz, Duke Ellington and the Small Groups. And here we have from 36 to 1950 with Ellington and in smaller bands. Some of these are on this is also, of course, with band names like Cootie Williams and his Rug Cutters, Barnaby Garden and the Yassopaters, Rex Stewart and his orchestra, to get around this where he had a different record contract. But Ellington says in the title of the album, so of course it counts. This is also interesting. Duke Ellington, the pianist. Recordings from 1936 and 1970. 1966 and 1970. Where he plays both solo and in a trio. And a very interesting one. This is Duke Ellington and Ray Brown. This one's for Blanton, which actually is a re-recording of that he made for this one. Because this is released on Pablo in 1972 with Ray Brown. Now coming to the big stack of ordinary Duke Ellington and his orchestra's album. The various other orchestra releases. And starting with Duke Ellington and his orchestra festival session. The problem with this is that I don't know how to do with this one, because it contains a suite, dual fuel, but it also the sound of this is so-so. The recording sound of this is so-so. So we'll see what happens. Duke Ellington and the Great Paris Concert. And a really, really great concert from France. In a double album set. We have the Great Duke, releases from 1946. We have Duke Ellington and his orchestra, rare broadcast recordings, 1951. Jazz Anthology. We have Duke Ellington and his orchestra, 1939 to 40. We have band called Duke Ellington and his orchestra. We have Duke Ellington and the London Concert. And this contains the Togo Brava Togo suite. This is then a double album set. Duke Ellington plays with the original motion picture score Mary Poppins. The Duke 1940 live from the Crystal Ball in Fargo. Double album set live. We have the other one that I mentioned that I had showed in the 20 section. The other album from the same series, the French CBS series, The Complete Duke Ellington Volume 4, 1932. In a double album set. These great Jazzotech releases on CBS. The Duke 56-62, volume 3. And already mentioned, Ellington 55. They actually released all of these on these songs on EPs. So if you want, you can have either all the EPs and there have the entire album, or you can have the entire album. As a collector, I'm going for both. And we have an album that I showed not too long ago. It was bought at this spring's record fair. Duke Ellington and his orchestra, Such Sweet Thunder, where he plays his versions of various Shakespeare plays. Very, very interesting project, very brave project to do that, actually. This is a suite that fascinated me. Duke Ellington and his orchestra plays interpretations of Peer Gynt suites. And Swedish piano player, boogie-woogie pianist Charlie Norman did a jazz version of Anitra's Dance. And boy, did he ever get his warm fishes for that one. Norwegian musicians got really, really angry with them for turning their national saint, Edvard Grieg, into a jazz tune. And you might think that they would have been just as angry with this, but the interesting thing is that I read that it actually was the Swedish musicians, the Swedish orchestra's organization that got angry with it. And Duke actually withdrew this suite, these recordings, for a number of years. But then, of course, released it when the tension had been dropped and people realized that, hey, music is music. It also contains a Sweet Thursday that they did. So this is very, very interesting. This was one of the albums that actually made me rediscover Duke Ellington, that actually, hey, he is so much more than just Take the A Train. This is also another suite, Duke Ellington's orchestra, the Nutcracker Suite, where he turns Tchaikovsky, Fyodor Tchaikovsky into jazz. Recorded in 1960, released on CBS. Duke Ellington presents his orchestra featuring and so far, with exception from the number of the Take the A Train I had in the 45s and so on, very little of this ordinary tracks, and I'm very happy that I managed to do so well to avoid them. Here we have a couple of records that are very interesting. Duke Ellington's The Brunswick Sections. We have number 3, 1932 to 35, and we have volume 1. Very, very nice albums. We have the works, RCA, with some kind of little low budget, but definitely very, very interesting recordings from the 30s, 1930 and 31, so pretty old recordings. Duke Ellington on the Air, 1940. So this is radio live recordings. We have Duke Ellington on Verve, the Antibes concert. We have Duke Ellington and his orchestra live with Django Reinhardt. This one is not that often you find actually with this concert from Chicago Civic Opera House, 1946. It's really, really great, and Django Reinhardt and Duke Ellington works pretty well together. I showed this previously. Here comes volume 2. Ellington on the Air, Duke Ellington and his orchestra from 1940. And Duke Ellington, 1940, live from Crystal Ballroom, again with this double album set from Jazz Anthology. Jazz Anthology is pretty easy to find, but it's not that easy to find a double album set from this series. And you thought that this would never end. Here is the last one, Duke Ellington Jazz Party. And as you can see, Duke Ellington together with Dizzy Gillespie. The closest thing you get from Duke Ellington and the newer jazz style. So, huge stack of Duke Ellington. Man that, as I said, I would never thought I would have this much. I could never, someone would have gone back 30, 35 years ago maybe and said to me that, hey, take it easy. When you're turning 50, you will have a huge stack of Duke Ellington. I would say, no. Today, I'm here and I'm proud of it to have this much Duke Ellington. And I assume that there will be more if I find it. He is so variated, so definitely there's a big chance of finding more odd stuff with Duke Ellington. So I hope that you have enjoyed this little walk through my collection of Duke Ellington. Will there be more of my collection of? Time will tell. Depends on. If I realize that, hey, this is an artist I could do that with, have so much with. Those of you also who might have remember, hey, I've seen this. Of course, when I showed my collection of jazz albums, vinyl, big bands, I showed them also there. But I felt like Duke Ellington deserved introduction of his own. But until next time, I hope that every one of you have a really nice time, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. Take care and so long.